Ian, I'm the features editor of the MEF, and I'm pleased to host this next session, which is a look at what's possible with Apple Business Chat. Now, in some ways, Apple is a dark horse of the conversational messaging space. As we know, in some markets, iOS has more than 50% market share, so it's very important. And these users are generally more affluent and more tech savvy than the rest. So this makes ABC especially interesting for brands. So I'm pleased to be joined today by Alex Cambell, who's the SVP of Sales at IMImobile. And he's going to walk us through what's possible with ABC in a short presentation. So over to you, Alex. And please ask questions and I'll get to those at the end. Thanks.
Great. Hi, everybody. Let me just share my screen. Oops, lazy. Okay. Let's just make that go big. Okay, can you see that? It's all right, Tim, you can see all that? Cool. Hi, my name is Alex Cambell. I lead the sales team here at IMImobile in Europe. IMImobile have been around for 20 years, supplying mobile services to leading brands, enterprises, businesses, telcos. And I've been with the business for over sort of 12 years. I'm not from Apple, but today I've been asked to come here by the MEF and also our friends and our partners at Apple to present what I think is one of the most exciting and innovative communication channels that's available on the market today. Apple Business Chat allows you as a brand, as a business, to engage with your customers on Apple devices. It really is the way for businesses to engage with customers on an Apple device, and the experience is native. There's no app to download. There's a huge possibility of different entry points to start a conversation, for a customer to start a conversation with yourselves. It's an incredibly rich channel. It's got a lot of great features. It appears in the conversations appear in messages, so it's very asynchronous to the user, and it's got some really great features built in. And one being Apple Pay. You can do predictive quick type responses for this, so it makes it easy for the customer to have a conversation. You can provide authentication and authentication on the channel, so therefore you can then, as a business, have a much richer conversation with a customer. It provides a level of privacy and security for the customer, and that in today's world is very important. And sort of on top of that, everything around it is is encrypted, and one such thing is if you pass content through that, attachments as such, they can be encrypted on the way. So IMImobile, we are one of the main partners for Apple globally, but we started the journey with them in EMEA. The great thing about this as a communication channel is it's not just available on your phone; it's available on all Apple devices. So your conversation appears on your iPad, on your desktop, on your watch. There's a huge possibilities and ways for a customer to interact with you. For example, in the UK, it gives a reach of about 50% of the market. And if you're a brand that has a lot of iOS users, high-end users, then this channel makes perfect sense for you as a brand to have a presence and interact with your customers. Another interesting kind of factor when you realise it is that Apple customers are generally ones generating a very high amount of revenue. Usually very good customers, and therefore that makes it very attractive to a lot of brands. Some of the key features on the service, and one of them I think is the most important in the new messaging channels that are coming along, are that you can have a branded and secure messaging experience. So You can provide a branded channel of communication. You can provide your logo at the top here in this instance. You can provide a verified account. So there's a verification process that happens with Apple, and it's not an automated process. There's teams of people behind the scenes at Apple who go through various levels of paperwork and various other bits and pieces to make sure that you are the right owner of that account and you have the authority to ensure that you can deliver. You can switch your service on. And there's definitely been instances where we've seen where with one of our clients, we have seen someone else try and open a fraudulent account, and that's been blocked. And that's absolutely fantastic that Apple provide that. In addition to that, within the branded and secure channel, then the little information button here also provides additional account information. So you can provide links to your website, you can provide customer service numbers, you can provide opening times. There's a host of information that can be provided as part of the channel. Here's a slide from our partners at Apple provided to ourselves. There's globally there is a number of great channels that have launched this worldwide. Some absolutely fantastic brands, retailers, financial services, telco operators, different enterprises, utilities. It's a really sort of broad appeal to a lot of brands and enterprises to use this as a channel. One of the things that really makes it stand out, and a lot of the and it stands, I think, above a lot of the other messaging channels at the moment, is the ability to have a payment and a commerce experience within the channel. And as you can see here, so this is an example of the Apple Store. So there, a customer has requested some information about the Apple HomePod in this instance, and a message has been sent back, a rich link, and that rich link contains a payment button where the customer can just actually click that button, and up pops the Apple Pay payment interface. And using Face ID, fingerprint, then the payment can be, the transaction can be processed and go through. And it really is a true integrated experience. It's a really slick and simple experience for a customer to use. We don't think any other of the channels has that kind of slick experience. One of the other great features for, especially in the retail space, is the ability to add other features that are supported on the iPhone. And a great feature is augmented reality. And within the channel, you can launch a really interesting commerce experience where you can trigger the augmented reality capability within the device, and then that then pops up and shows on the screen, and you can then trigger additional kind of commerce capabilities on the back of that. Clearly, a lot of the usage of these services is really dependent on discoverability. And the one thing with Apple Business Chat is it offers a wide range of different ways for customers to discover the channel. So, we've got some good examples here, not all provided by ourselves, I must say, but some really good examples where we've got from a web page and an entry point from within an app, from within an email, and then also the experience from within Maps. So the ability to search for a brand in Apple Maps and then have that message button pop up on the screen and let a customer immediately be able to start a conversation with you as a business. But also, some really other interesting use cases that have been given to us by and shared with us by Apple for this presentation. The ability to launch the Apple Business Chat from places where your customers are. So there's some the examples here are from a QR code, and in this instance I believe the QR code is attached to the back of a seat in a stadium. and being able to order a drink directly to your seat through the channel, through Instagram, and through an Instagram story, having the ability to start a commerce journey straight on the back of on the back of a story, and someone clicking on that story and interacting with it, and also through here another example through Twitter. And the really great thing about the channel is that you can pass additional information and context through in the URL. So it's hidden from the customer, but that comes through to you as a business. And therefore you can use that additional context to therefore shape the journey that the customer then goes on. So you could, if it's a customer services inquiry, and that's really what the intent is of that conversation, you can pass that through to through to the support team. But if it's sales and someone wants to buy a new product, then you can route them straight through to you know, a sales team to handle that and to buy something and take them on that commerce journey. Cool. Another thing that we really like is that is a key feature and a real benefit of the channel is that is a capability called Chat Suggest, and this allows us to really move callers from from a kind of an IVR or voice experience into Apple Business Chat. And in this instance, how this is working is when the phone is detecting that there's a phone number, and that business has that phone number is registered against the business, and then this has also got Apple Business Chat, then the device is able to present the alternative here, and the alternative in this instance being the ability to message us. So customers could still call if they wanted to, but they're also presented with the message us button, and that really enables you to try and deflect calls from your contact center, have a much higher rate of have your agents being able to handle much higher number of calls at any one particular time, or number of chats at any one time, compared to the kind of traditional voice contact center. It's really easy to configure. Been through this a few times. It's all of this is enabled within the Apple Maps environment, so it's zero touch for your IT team to have to do or configure. It's all handled in the back end, but it's a real benefit of the channel. So really kind of bringing it. I've got a couple of examples in a minute, but just summarising what I've just said really. So there's a real set of full features and experience for both customer care, support, and sales within the service. You get that verified brand and verified tick, so you can ensure that the customer trusts that you are who you are saying you are. But also there's a number of privacy elements for the customer that enables the customer to be protected using the service. And it enables you to engage with your customers, and not only that, but your what you see as your best customers. So a couple of quick examples. One that I'd like to show you, which you think is great, is Empower, who are the utility company in the UK. The entry point for them is through their website and mobile site. You can go through the support pages and the smart meter pages and click Contact Us, and it enables a two-way chat directly with an agent. It's got some great features in it. We've got some smart links, some smart content that it links to. There's a post-chat survey, which we're showing on the right-hand side, which just looks great with the smiley faces. You can enable office hours within the service, so only the customers presented when chat is available and not available. And it's got some nice cool features like typing indicators, and the fact that the customer's typing something and the agent's replying, which is great. The Barclays use case, there's 4 services now live across Barclays and Barclaycard. For Barclays, it's an authenticated customer journey. There's a level of automation when the journey starts with a live handover to a live agent. There's Chat Suggest, as I showed earlier, has been enabled on the service, so it can help deflect calls from the contact center. And there's a post-chat survey. And again, very high CSAT scores. Customers are really liking it. So how do you get going with Apple Business Chat? Well, first of all, it's a very, very simple end-to-end architecture. You've got Apple sort of sitting in the middle with the customer and the device on the left-hand side here. And you connect that to a customer services platform like IMImobile, and we enable you to talk to your customers through the platform. It's a very simple process to get set up. It's really easy. There's two ways of doing it. You can either go directly to Apple and click register with Apple, and within there you can select IMI's logo and get going, or you can directly go to our website and you can register with IMI, and we'll take you through a journey to get you signed up and get started. And if you click on the QR code, then you can the journey will start for you there. Cool. Thank you, everybody. I think that is the end of me. You there, Tim?
Yes, I am. So thank you very much for that, Alex. I had a few questions lined up, but I think it's only polite to go to the audience questions first, and they have anticipated some of my questions anyway. So you just talked at the end there about the onboarding process. We've got a viewer wants to know about the verification. So you did mention about how tight that is, and how fraudulent vendors have been booted off. So what is the verification process?
Yeah, so when you go through the Apple the process, right, either going via our route or via Apple on the links provided, you can you get to a point where you have to put in a number of different people that are registered within the business. You have to use your a business email address. I think it's 3 or 4 roles that need to be defined. So a technical owner, a commercial owner, and a legal owner. All of those people are contacted as part of the process, and there is a number of different bits of information and paperwork that they have to upload as part of that. Apple checks all those email IDs. They do background checks on the people that actually exist within those organisations, and verify the paperwork as well. So it's pretty tight.
Okay. Now, Marco Peroni asks, is Apple interested in both P2A and A2P? And that's an interesting question, because I was always led to believe that the customer had to start these conversations. And in fact, Carlos has suggested that on the chat. But I'm not sure that's always the case. So can you clarify on that?
Yeah, of course. So, I think the key thing is that the customer the customer provides the initial kind of entry, starting position. So the customer says hi, and I think that just ensures that then the brand in its terms and conditions, it plays back to the customer, has received consent from that customer to have the conversation with that customer. But once that channel's open, so once now I've got an open conversation with Empower, for example, the channel is open between me and Empower. They are able to send me a message back through that channel, and there are various rules around what can be done and what can be sent. Apple do not want marketing to be sent through that channel, but if it's the right context for that customer, then it can be used as a kind of as a channel and a means of sort of outbound communication as well as inbound.
So that outbound communication can take place several days later. It's not within.
Yeah. No, but it can take place. Yeah.
But it wouldn't be a marketing message. It would generally be a follow-up of some kind, or some kind of customer care question.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. Or some kind of account alert or account notification. Working with Apple, I think Apple are very open to having a conversation about different use cases that could be used, and if it's contextual, and if it's if it's not just a blast and an outbound email type message, and it's relevant to the customer, then I think Apple are very open to how that channel could be used as to engage them in conversation.
So that makes you wonder how payments happen inside ABC if all of the initial kind of communication is coming from the customer, payment's still quite an unusual thing, because usually, obviously, you would expect a payment to be made as a result of some kind of marketing outreach. But what's the how popular are payments inside the channel at the moment?
You know, I can't comment on, you know, I suppose I can't really comment on that from, you know, really a question we could put towards Apple. But from what, you know, from what I understand, you know, where they've implemented it with their own Apple store, it is proving a very popular mechanism to use as a payment channel.
Any of your customers doing full m-commerce on there, or?
We haven't got any on-commerce yet, but
Right.
we're definitely actively pushing it.
Right. What about discovery? Because obviously you talked about the fact that one of the great benefits is that you can, it's cross-channel. But what about that still implies that you've got to be in some kind of communication with the brand in question. What about just finding brands, you know, on the consumer's behalf rather than on the brand's behalf? If I want to find like EasyJet, for example, can I find them inside ABC?
No, there isn't. You know, there isn't a, I suppose, what you would call a directory that I suppose you see in some of the other channels. So, but there, you know, there is now a list of, you know, Apple have published a list of a lot of the brands that are, you know, that are using Apple Business Chat. It's on their website. But no, it's very much about, you know, initially being a kind of a customer, you know, an obvious initial entry point is a customer service entry point. Where you go to a business's contact us page because you want to go and have a conversation with them about something. And then I think, you know, that's expanded now to be to search, so that the process takes further, you know, the entry point happens further down that sort of discovery process. So yeah, there isn't necessarily a directory as such, but you know, there are very varied number of different ways to start the conversation.
Okay, Stella wants to know, she's heard that brands get accepted, not all brands get accepted by Apple. So is that the case? And is Apple becoming a bit more liberal and faster in the onboarding process now?
Do you know, I can't, again, I suppose I can't really comment on that, but with the brands that I think we've worked with, we haven't had any challenges, you know, as part of the registration process. You know, they're a very open team to bringing onboarding customers. There's, you know, they've broadened. There are definitely some more examples where they've definitely broadened the what's the word? You know, the ability for a brand to enter it, to enter Apple Business Chat. I'm trying to think of a good example. But no, I've never seen any issues. So you know, we can definitely help there if there's someone having challenges.
What about integration into other parts of iOS? Because I believe that, for example, if you make an appointment in ABC, that it would sort of populate your Apple Diary or whatever. Is that something you've seen?
Yeah, it's fantastic. The integration with the rest of the device is really slick. So you know, if you send a customer an appointment, it automatically looks in your diary to see if your time's booked out. If you can send a customer 3 options, and if one of them's not available, then it kind of grays that out on the message, which you know is a real tight integration with the device itself. Yeah, no, there's it's definitely a really seamless experience across the Apple device.
What about
iPads or whatever?
Yeah. What about usage analytics and so on? How do brands have access to their own data? You know, can they scrutinize it to make better decisions in future and so on?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we put on the, you know, we provide an enhanced set of tools on the back of it, which lets you see exactly where the customers are going, what journeys they're going on. You know, all of the sort of scores that you would expect to see in a contact center with regards to sort engagement, where users are dropping off, but also from kind of an agent's point of view, we also provide those kind of capabilities that you see sort of, how many concurrency and concurrent chats that agents are having. So we provide a full suite from both analysing the customer journey, but also the to the performance of the contact centre as well.
So Nick Lane wants to know about, because he's always after data, usage data. He wants to know what's happened post-COVID. Have you seen a big spike in interest in ABC after lockdown and with this new move towards virtual commerce?
Yeah, definitely. I think the clearly during lockdown, I think a lot of contact centres struggled in different ways. I think either a lot of big businesses still had contact centres that were on premise and needed to make a move to adopt digital channels. I think there were some of the big brands that we were working with didn't have things like web chat, and we're still very much relying on voice. And with people not being able to go to the office and people not going out to work, we saw a huge demand, I think, from all of the contact centres and businesses that we work with, as trying to launch something quickly to help and alleviate the pressure on the voice systems, but also to give something that was kind of cloud-based, had the ability for customer service agents that were at home and couldn't go to the office to access and use. So I think definitely COVID has driven a lot of demand for these types of services.
And Inderpal wants to know, I mean, it's interesting I'm looking at the chat sessions here and people are answering each other's questions, but obviously for some viewers, they won't be able to see those conversations. So Inderpal wants to know about the 30% rev share. Does that apply for purchases or payments inside this process? Well,
we're not involved in the kind of the back end of Apple Pay, and that's definitely between the brand and the and Apple. But the really interesting thing about the messaging channel is that there is no charge for the messages. The messaging itself is free. For Apple are not charging for that, and that makes it a really interesting, I think, communication channel. So unfortunately, I can't comment on the Apple Pay side of things, but definitely on the bit that we do know, the messaging, it makes the messaging channel very, very interesting.
So what is the business model here? For Apple, it's presumably to keep people inside iOS. What about for IMI?
Well, I think it's created a great experience for Apple and for Apple customers, and when I have those conversations with our partners at Apple, they do say it's all part of the Apple ecosystem, and it is all about providing a great experience for customers because they will buy more devices. But I think for IMI, I think it's looking at the UK, I mentioned it earlier, it's 50% market share. For us, we want to be in a place where the customers are. So we are a complete omnichannel platform provider. We provide the other channels, and we've been talking about those over yesterday as well. But I think I think this Apple is a really, really important one, and I think we're very sort of proud to be part of the Apple Business Chat program, because it really gives us that kind of complete picture around all customers and all devices in the UK.
And do you think that brands are familiar with ABC? Is there a big education piece for you, or do most brands aware that this opportunity exists?
I definitely think more and more are. Being a consumer myself, I know that if I was to approach my mum would probably still need some education on all of these new communication channels, although she does use one or two of them. But so I think I definitely think that there's a lot more businesses. You saw the slide from Apple that showed all of the brands that are using it now. So I think there's definitely a lot more big businesses and brands using it. I think probably the education is probably more on the customer side of things, that where the customer might not know what they're doing or what's the message, whether this is an Apple Business Chat message or this is something else.
Well, I assume that they'll start seeing those messages inside, when they make a call or inside emails and so on, as you said, and they'll probably just learn organically. Obviously, it's quite similar to what Google is doing with Google Business Messages, and I should remind the viewers that there's a session on tonight for UK time, at 7:30 UK time, all about that. So tune in for that. And until then, thank you very much, Alex, for sharing that. There's so many questions coming in. This is obviously a very hot topic, so we need to come back to this on MEF at some point in the future. But thanks again, and we'll see you soon. Cheers.
Thanks, Tim. Thanks a lot. Bye, everyone.